Jonathan Edwards left insight not only into his life, but to those around him. His need to hold on to papers, as well as his desire to document his thought and research, allows historians to recreate the life and the times of Edwards and those in New England during the 1700s and 1800s. Edwards' parishioners submitted bids, or what we would call prayer requests today, which all followed a similar structure, most of which focused on the will of God and their personal need to endure whatever situation they were going through. The bids were of interest to historians because they remind us of the bittersweet realities of the daily life in the 1800s, as stated in the article for Spiritual Good. Edwards spoke often of requesting both spiritual and temporal help from God, which can be seen throughout these bids. Jonathan also left insight into his parishioners' lives through his correspondences with them, some of which were sent after a parishioner heard a sermon or if they were recently converted. In his letter to Deborah Hathaway, a young, recently converted parishioner, he described how she should proceed in her walk as a converted Christian. He was giving her sound advice as to how and who she should be conversing with and sharing the good news with, as well as setting apart secret days of fasting and prayer when needed. He admonished her to reflect on the past experiences, but not to spend too much time in that reflection. In a faithful narrative, Edwards sent an account of the events that had taken place in the revival to Reverend Dr. Benjamin Coleman, a pastor in Boston, who in turn shared it with another pastor and Isaac Watts, who was a hymn writer. The interest in this account led to requests for additional information and correspondence, thereby becoming Edwards' unintentional first book. Much of Edwards' work consists of recounting of events and sermons sent as a recap of events to other pastors and interested parties within the revival community. Sermons ranged in theme and tone, but all had the underlying importance of what was very real and ever-present reality of death, which could take a person's soul to heaven if converted, or hell if not reborn. Of course, his most famous and America's most favorite sermon, Sinners in the Angry Hands of God, gave the listeners vivid and horrible images of what was in store for them should they not turn to Christ and undergo a true and real conversion. Having the ability to reconstruct history with such a variety of writings from personal notes and correspondence to sermons prepared and shared with Northampton to thoughts in science and theology give Edwards credit for being one of the most influential men in American history. Edwards lived Mark 16:15 to the core. He said unto them, Go ye unto the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Edwards is an excellent example of this in action.